What's up? Welcome back to the Tina Parker Show. Y'all, I'm excited to bring you an additional episode today. This one is on the financial sector, banking truths, and the things that they're not telling you. So, you ready? Let's dive into this, okay? Welcome back to the show. If you've been hearing rumors about banks collapsing, fraud scandals, or routine liquidity moves, and it doesn't sit right with you, trust that instinct. Today's not about panic, though. It's about power. It's just about being aware, okay? I'm not trying to put fear in your heart, I'm just trying to educate people and share the truth so that you know what's going on when you hear these rumors, okay? I'm going to show you what's really happening inside the banking system, how it connects globally, and what you can do to protect your money, your business, and your peace. Because the people who understand what's shifting don't get blindsided. They get prepared. Let's get into it. Fraud and loan loss concerns rising. Regional banks are waving quiet red flags. Zions Bancorporation, their headquarters is here in Utah. They just reported a $50 million fraud-related charge-off, okay? Other lenders followed, okay? It wasn't just Zions. Investors are treating each case like a warning that something deeper is brewing. And let's talk about why this matters to you, okay? Banking locally doesn't automatically mean safer, okay? When banks juggle razor-thin margins, hidden exposures, and rising fraud, your deposits, credit lines, and partnerships are at risk. I have worked for two different financial institutions that even as a business banker, I was told everything's great, go out and get more deposits, and sure enough, we were acquired without us. I found out on the news we were just acquired by JP Morgan Chase. This was a while ago, but then also I was working for a credit union and it was merged and acquired by another credit union. So I've been through this twice. So don't think, and I will tell you, and we'll get to that, I think, even if I'm going to give you some tips of what you can do to prepare, but you may talk to your banker if you have one. And unless you have a really good relationship, that's why I think it's important to have great relationships with a financial person, okay? Because they're going to tell you the truth, all right? If you just go to a banker that doesn't really know you, you don't have a relationship with them, and you ask them how safe they are, how's their losses, if you go and ask them questions like that, most of them are going to tell you, oh, the rumors are a lie, everything's fine, okay? So you got to have a really close relationship with someone that's going to tell you more details. And sometimes even the bankers don't know. Like, we were told that everything was great until we were acquired. If you feel it in your heart as I get going through this episode, please don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone that you think could benefit from it, okay? So find out who actually holds your money. And this is what I was saying, like, you never know. Ask what their non-performing assets look like. If they can't give you numbers, the silence, them not telling you, is an answer. Honestly, even if you have a good relationship, like I said, sometimes they don't even know really the truth. So it's just always hard to say. Just make sure you're protected. You don't have all of your assets especially if you have an excess of $250,000. You want to have your money set up in a way that it's protected. All right, hidden lending exposures. Here's what nobody's talking about. U.S. banks have quietly loaned out $1.7 trillion to hedge funds, subprime lenders, and other non-bank financial institutions. These deals are less regulated, less transparent, and far riskier. So your trusted bank might be sitting on someone else's gamble. And if that bet goes bad, the fallout touches you. Ask your bank directly, what's your exposure to non-depository financial institutions? If you get corporate fog instead of clarity, treat that as a flashing light. Treat it as an alert. Treat it as a, be aware. Why foreign bank failures matter. There's some banks in the, out of the country that in Europe that have taken some huge losses. And so I just want to talk about why us in the United States should be concerned. Some of you might think that's Europe's problem, right? But not anymore. When BNP in France takes $190 million fraud hit, that shock travels through global trading and lending networks shared by JP Morgan Chase, Citi, and others. The world's banks are interlinked. You might not have known that, but they are. When one stumbles, if one sneezes, liquidity tightens everywhere, showing up in your investments, business funding, even your 401ks, and your mortgage rate. Remember, banks lend to each other. Markets share assets. Investor confidence is global. So when Europe sneezes, America catches the cold. So we might not have thought, like, you might hear of banking issues out of the country, but y'all, like, it's a global, it circulates globally. Okay, so position yourself. Watch international news. Understand how your institution is connected and diversify before the dominoes start. I promise you, this is what's happening in this new financial era. We're going to see, and they're not going to tell you this, but I believe there's only going to be a few large banks, and the rest of them are all going to be merged, shut down, acquired, whatever, into all these large ones. When banks stop trusting banks, this is something called the repo market, okay? And this is a wake-up call. When banks are now going into the repo market, I'm going to explain what that means. So typically, banks, when they need a loan, so when I worked at a credit union, and we loan based on deposits in the bank. So there was a point when we were like 96, 97% loan to deposits, okay? So the amount of deposits we had in, we loan that money out. So I was concerned that I probably needed to stop my department from doing loans. And then, we just were like, no, we're just going to borrow from the Fed. So we'll borrow from the Fed at 2%, and then we will charge the clients, members, 4.5% on the money, and so we'll make a 2.5% spread. Okay, so that's how that works. But we borrow from other banks. Okay, but right now, this is what the repo market is. Right now, the banks are so they don't trust. They don't trust each other because they know everyone's taking huge losses. So rather than a bank going to another large bank to take out a loan, none of the banks will blend to one another. Okay, so now they have to go to the repo market. So I'm going to pull back the curtain at what just happened in the repo market, okay? Normally, banks lend cash to each other overnight using treasuries as collateral. It's how they balance liquidity. But right now, they don't trust each other's solvency, okay? They don't know how strong they are. They don't know what losses they currently have that they haven't reported yet or that they know are coming up. Nobody wants to lend So instead, they're all running to the Federal Reserve's standing repo facility, borrowing directly from the Fed. Just days ago, that facility was tapped for over $50 billion in one day, the largest ever. That's not a routine. That's the system saying we don't trust ourselves. When banks stop trusting banks, the money flow slows. Funding dries up and businesses feel it first. So if your bank or lender starts using phrases like funding delays or processing adjustments, know that it's code for liquidity strain. Or maybe when you go make a deposit, and typically they never hold that check for very long, right? Maybe it's a 2-day hold, or maybe they don't hold it at all. And all of a sudden, they're saying, oh, we got to put this on a 2-day hold, or we got to put this on a 7-day hold. That's a concern because they want to keep your money in the bank. It creates more liquidity for them a little bit longer. Okay. So build your buffer now. Awareness today prevents panic tomorrow. Survival to strategy. Okay. You are not a powerless bystander. I want you to know that. You are an empowered agent with choice. The system wants you distracted and dependent, but you can flip the script. Learn what's going on so you act wisely. Ask questions. Show me the numbers. Build multiple relationships, banks, mentors, income streams. Start your contingency fund. Even small savings by freedom. Look, above all those, invest in yourself. All right? You don't know. I mean, with AI here, AI is going to replace so many jobs. If yours, you might be one that's already experienced that. But if you currently are working in a bank, you're unsure what's to come, invest in yourself. Find a mentor. Find a group that has figured out ways to make money in this new economy, okay? Because you can do the same, but you just don't know what your opportunities are. You need to figure out how to monetize your skills. You need to kind of change your mindset because you, like myself, I had old programming that I believed I had to have a 9 to 5. I had to do this. I had to do that. Invest in yourself. Go to networking groups. Find out what, super successful people are doing. Learn more on AI. Learn more on this cryptocurrency. You guys, I know if you are in the banking industry, they're not training their folks. They haven't started. Well, I talked to someone that's in banking. She says, we haven't even learned about anything with crypto or digital currency. And that blows me away because it's here. The banks they've already implemented the back end of it. So why they wouldn't even start training their employees? Maybe because they don't even know they're going to be around in another bank that will get merged. Those employees will get merged. That bank will be the one that trains. I don't know. It just blows me away that they're not talking about it. They're not training their staffs on how it's going to work. And another thing is if you have money in a 401k, man, I would, and you haven't invested in digital currency, you guys, right now, they like XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, they've all dropped. And I believe they're kind of testing people to see who believes in this currency or this coin. I think they are testing, but I also think they're trying to lower it for the entry for people that want to get in, because this right now is going to create more millionaires than ever before. It's a huge opportunity. And so I kind of feel like they're testing people to see if they really believe in these, or they're also giving others an opportunity to create their own wealth by getting in, because it's going to be massive. That's all I got to say. Okay? And don't say I didn't tell you. You learned it here on the Tina Parker Show. All right? So build multiple relationships, banks, mentors, income streams. Start your contingency fund. Okay, I already said that. Above all, invest in yourself. Learn new skills, develop digital and financial literacy. Find mentors who've built independence and can help you do the same. Don't depend or rely on the welfare system, a paycheck, a bank's promise. Create your own economy. People might be like, what? I believe, I said it, that you can create your own economy. Regardless, stop watching the news. Start finding out what successful people are doing. Because when banks stop lending, the women who know how to create value keep moving. They don't wait for rescue, they lead the rebuild. All right? If you've listened so far, you already know ignorance isn't innocence. It's exposure. But awareness, that's armor. Like building that muscle in the gym, you need your armor. Okay? I want to invite you to schedule, if you are a business owner, your future of finance strategy call with me. Everything within your company, I work a lot with dealerships, but I can help any business. But everything within the way you operate, okay, is going to change. Your merchant services, you're probably already overpaying. You know what I'm saying? And that system is going to change. You need to know what's changing so that you're prepared. Let's review where your money lives, what risks you are unknowingly carrying, and how to position yourself for the financial era that's unfolding right now. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Remember, truth doesn't scare strong women. It equips them. And I'm Tina Parker, Faith, Truth, and Energy. And I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day.